Cheryl, you guys ready?
I bought a $100 bottle of whiskey.
You ready? Yeah,
That's $12.
he's good. I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees of February 27, 2019 to order. Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the town clerk please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Trustee Wakeman?
Here.
Trustee Smith?
Here.
Trustee Burek?
Here.
Trustee Ehrlich?
Here.
Trustee Trailer? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Austin?
Here.
Mayor Woodcock?
Here. Alrighty. Agenda approval. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, I move that we change the executive session to a personnel matter pursuant to CRS 24-6-402-4F.
Second.
Town clerk, please call the vote.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Just do my notes. Trustee Trailer?
Yes.
Trustee Burek?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin?
Yes.
Mayor Woodcock?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Citizens' comments. Do I have any citizens' comments? No? Going on to minutes of the previous meeting. Is there any discussion or comments on the minutes? If not, I'll...
Mayor, I have a question on that. Under minutes of previous meeting, going back to January 23rd, 2019, it says minutes approved with a correction. Do you ever list what the correction was that was corrected, or do you just, is that standard procedure to do it that way?
That would-
Well, it has to be stated.
It has to be stated what it is.
The correction was it showed me voting and I didn't vote.
On a certain item, so
Yeah.
I was just wondering if that should be identified that way so that you see it in the minutes. And then the,
A little more understanding.
Yes.
and I know the minutes do get corrected and put on digital record that way, but I've always, in my past job, looked at those minutes to make sure that they were corrected when they went into digital records. And it's nice to have what that change was, so that if you look at this one, you see what the change was on the board packet.
Okay.
That's my only suggestion.
All right.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. Ben, would you go back and correct the minutes that were corrected officially so that they are correct also?
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Okay,
If they're
so
corrected,
if
they
you
should be
correct-
posted as corrected. The set of minutes that
Right,
goes on
once
the
we
website
adopt
should be
them,
correct.
then they should have been corrected, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct.
There you go.
Correct.
Do we all agree it's correct?
There's a lot of corrections going on right now. Which correction are we on? All right.
Paid list of bills.
All right. Yeah, I need a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Abstain, I was not there at that meeting. At the last meeting, you were.
All right. Acknowledgement of paid list of bills. Accounting and Finance Manager, Courtney Diller.
I do have one correction on there. Under Edwards Refrigeration, the description says repair evidence cooler for water classes. It should not say for water classes. It's just repair of the evidence cooler for the police department. So we'll remove that.
What's it a repair for?
Just for the evidence cooler in the police department. It says for water classes after it. I think it was a left on there from a previous description, so. Any other questions?
I wouldn't know.
Anything else for her? No? Got off easy today.
Yep.
Okay.
Next thing is Town Administrator's report. Town Administrator.
We had a meeting where we discussed some of the confusion that, or the issues with engineering, water works, and planning, trying to kind of identify some areas that we'd try and get better definition on internally. And I think that's brought out some things that we're working on. The Works Department is well underway remodeling the basement. The walls are tore down on the south section, all the way across the basement. The middle wall is gone. You probably saw the block and cement that's been delivered outside the building, so that project is well underway. Works Department purchased a snow plow and got that picked up, and that is now on site. The Josephine project continues to be an interesting project with lots of twists and turns to keep us all jumping and moving. Lots of small issues that are continually building up, but that we're getting through. We're going to have a planning meeting with a lot of the players involved tomorrow and identify some plans for the issues that have come up recently. But a lot of that project's getting completed. We're under the ditch. It'd be fairly, we're well within the line of being able to turn the ditch back on and have it run for them when they need it. We have had issues, as Trustee Wakeman pointed out, with mail. From the last time we went, that was the first we'd heard of it at the last meeting. I met with the postmaster in Johnstown, the postmaster here, with the workers, the contractor, with the carrier herself, and we worked out something in order to make that work smoother. The Works Department moved some road base up and stuck it in some of the wetter spots, and we were able to set the barricades aside and allow them to get to each one of those cluster boxes, is the term that they use on those, is cluster boxes. So that got resolved. We've had issues with having to shut the water off. The town staff has been good about getting door hangers out there. There's areas that we missed because they're putting that line in over there on Broad Street, and we missed 3 houses on trash pickup. We've been working on that and trying to coordinate all of that too. Right now, the only place that we're having a hard time getting the trash trucks to is the north side of 60 on Josephine, because they're working putting those box culverts in there. And while they're doing that, the trash truck doesn't want to mess with that big old track hose, so we've worked out a plan to get that trash moved. Everything else seems to be working. as well as can be expected. I sent everybody an email about the RO plant on March 8th to hold that date. They're bringing the reactor in, they're gonna set it in place. They've got a fancy looking crane, I guess they've cleaned it up, they're polishing it up. Leonard was adamant that he wanted a good show and a celebration for the town, and Stanek also wants to do that, so we've coordinated with the Johnstown newspaper so Angel can come out and take some pictures and talk about it, and I'm going to explain to her in the next few days what an RO plant does and what a bioreactor is, so she can write a nice story about it. But Leonard's working with another paper and some additional information sources to get information about it out. You've probably all seen the ditch behind 257 and 60. That thing's getting done pretty quick now. The guys are just about ready to button that up. They're moving dirt from the Josephine project in there and making good progress on that. We do have the traffic signal at State Highway 60 in Alice. The proposals, that's on the agenda tonight to see if you guys will approve that. The timeline, the equipment delivery's coming in on the 8th, and that probably has moved the install of the metal building up. We'll have to check and see what that has on there. I've got it marked down from their flow sheet as April 15th to 20th. That seems like that's wrong at this point, but I'll have to double check that. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have any questions for him before I move on?
One last item of report, and I didn't know how you wanted to deal with it. There was some question. The events committee contract, we all talked about it, and that's complete. I have a signed copy that the events committee signed, and I've got a signature on there, and I just didn't know what you wanted to do from that point. Just file it and...
Well, I thought it was supposed to come back to us, because we saw the rough one. We didn't see the exact one,
Okay,
and I thought it was supposed to come back before.
I'll get it on the agenda for you at the next meeting. I thought we had changed the numbers on it, and regardless, we'll bring it in. If you want to, do you guys want to approve a lease? There was a question that we were talking about that as to, it's a lease to the events committee for a town building. The dollar amount's very low. Is that the type of item that the town board wants to be involved with, or is that something that staff can handle since it's a very small amount of money and not a lot of
Still dealing with
liability?
town property, so it's, in my eyes, it should still come in front of the board.
Okay. We'll get it on the next packet.
I recuse. Involves me.
How dare you recuse and do it the right way? Alrighty, nothing on the consent agenda. The action agenda. Action agenda item A, authorization for the town administrator to sign the contract for the installation of Highway 60 and Alice traffic signal. It has Public Works Director Bill.
Mayor and Board of Trustees, as you know, we went out for a traffic study a little over a year ago to get lights out here, and the state picked Alice to be the one first. And we've got our plans in January 23rd, and we sent them out to the only 2 contractors that the state has approved. And we got them back on the 12th, and I believe you guys got the results. And staff has looked at them, and we feel that we should take the lowest bidder, which the street lights will be black, is the way it was decided. And I just think you guys ought to approve it and make them happen, so. And it'll, supposedly supposed to be done by October.
That was my question. Thank you.
Yeah, because it takes 6 months to get the poles. So the quicker we get the contract to them, the quicker we can get it done. Okay?
How long does that usually take to put one of those in?
Well, they'll have all of the stuff done before the poles even begin to. If they had the poles, they'd say 2.5 months is all, but they don't have them.
Will they
'Cause
start the lights?
all
probably?
designed different for each intersection, so. And these poles will have cameras on them too. That's what's in the bid, so.
So will the highway need to be closed at all, or just?
Well, not
Down
only,
to what?
they might when they're hanging them across, but when they're drilling the poles and putting all the conduits and that through, they won't. It'll be minimal, so.
They're doing turn lanes and everything else in that too, though,
They're
right?
supposed to. Yeah, that's what's in the design is an accelerator lane and all of that, so. Except going to the north,
Right.
so.
I know that we would probably all like it to have been done yesterday. Is there any way they can move the schedule up so that it's done by the start of school?
The poles is the whole issue, so that's, if they could get them sooner, they'll let us know and,
They'll probably do all the work though, and
oh,
then,
they're gonna have all the other work done,
right,
so all
and
they'll
then
be
they'll probably
waiting.
hang temps, right?
Mhm.
And so then the only thing that they'll really be coming back in October.
And then they'll just
for-
have to install the poles and
Right.
the lights will be on the poles when you set them, so. And then they'll wire it up. And they are to be maintained by the state, not us, because we have nobody qualified. And that's the way they want it. It's a state highway.
So, what was the other bid and what,
Sturgeon was the other contractor, and their bid was at $365,060. And WL Contractors is the lowest bidder, and they was at $320,742. We figured 600 was what they was telling us, and they come in way lower. And CDOT will pay up to, they're paying half, but only up to 250,000. So it's a good thing you come in lower.
do we know this contractor?
Oh, yes. Oh, I've seen them in Greeley, Windsor. They do the whole state. They're around, Sturgeon and WL. See them do a lot of Greeley stuff in Windsor. So they're good.
Any other questions? No? Take a motion.
I move to approve the contract with WL Contractors Incorporated as the low bidder for the traffic signal for a bid price of $320,742 and authorize the town administrator to sign and execute the contract.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Burek,
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich,
Yes.
Trustee Trailer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin,
Yes.
Mayor Woodcock.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right. Nothing on the discussion agenda, so we'll go into information. We have the Community Development Director on the progress report for the floodplain violations of Western Equipment and Truck.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On your agenda tonight is a status update. Since your last meeting, I actually revamped the staff report here and put it in reverse chronological order. So the update since your last meeting is that on February 19th, cooperating agencies conducted a group tour in cooperation with the property owner and Milliken Police. Out on the site, in attendance were representatives from EPA, the Army Corps of Engineers, Fish and Wildlife Service, and the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, as well as the town's Community Development Director and our certified floodplain manager. So representatives conducted their stormwater inspection and published preliminary findings, which are included in your packet. The preliminary findings basically indicated that the stormwater management plan submitted by the applicant was not adequate in several categories, so they've requested formally that the property owner within 45 days respond and provide those corrections and additions. They have, however, in the meantime, asked for immediate stream bank stabilization and erosion control measures. I did reach out to the applicant, or to the property owner's engineering and consulting staff, and they indicated to me that they are working to have that installed early next week or by the end of next week. They do need to have their stormwater master plan updated, and our floodplain manager is also reviewing to make sure that it complies with what we need for the floodplain standpoint. In your packet also, CDPHE provided kind of an aerial photography, satellite imagery with a timeline that shows the changes in the property. Representatives from EPA were there. Army Corps has turned over has elevated this to EPA. EPA had not received that in the mail yet. They were expecting to receive it within a couple of days of the tour, and they'll be evaluating that. There is a process that takes several months for them to reach back to us. And Fish and Wildlife is also consulting with their agency representatives to determine what action, if anything, they will take as a result of the fill on the property. So the town of Milliken and Army Corps have not lifted the cease and desists or the notices of violation. However, we did notify by certified mail. We notified the property owner that we would allow activities, and only those activities necessary to provide the stream bank stabilization and install the best management practices for the stormwater and erosion control. Did a couple of other little updates. The topography, which is the LIDAR, is being analyzed, should be done this week. That means that the property owner's engineering staff should be starting to run the models by the end of next week. So within the next couple of weeks, we should have that quantified data, quantifiable data that we need to determine where we're sitting, whether it's been elevated above the base flood. And as I mentioned, the stream bank stabilization should be in by the end of next week. So the only other thing that's in your packet is a recap. So far to date, we have a total of $4,041.64 accrued. We have recently issued some invoices to the property owner to recoup some of that, and we're waiting for a response. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. No questions? Thank you very much.
Not at this time. Very thorough. Thank you.
All right, the last thing being on the agenda for tonight is the executive session, so I'll say everyone thanks for coming before I read us into it.